Imagine growing up in a house where your dead grandfather's face is sitting on a shelf. Not buried, not gone, just there, watching you eat dinner. And here's the disturbing part. To the people living in that house, this wasn't horror. This was completely normal. This isn't a story. It's something archaeologists actually dug up in a place called Jericho, one of the oldest cities on Earth, going back over 9,000 years. When they excavated under the floors of ancient houses, they found something strange. Skeletons with no heads, and separately, buried in different spots. Sometimes under the very floor people walked on every day, they found skulls. Alone, rebuilt. Someone had taken the skull, packed the face back on with plaster, and pushed in shells for eyes. Not decoration, not a grave, a face, made to look like someone who used to be alive. And this wasn't rushed. This was a process. First, the body was buried, normally, respectfully. Then, later, sometimes years later, the skull was dug back up. Plaster was carefully built up over the bone to recreate cheeks, a nose, lips. Shells, sometimes cowrie shells, were pressed in for eyes. Some skulls even show traces of paint, like they were giving the face its skin tone back or styling in hair. This took skill. It took time. And it means someone in that community was, essentially, a sculptor of the dead, a job that existed 9,000 years before artist was even a word. And it wasn't a one-off. Further north, at a site called Göbekli Tepe, possibly the oldest temple complex ever built, archaeologists found skulls that had been deliberately carved, grooves cut into the bone, holes drilled through them, like they were meant to be strung up or displayed. Two different ancient cultures. Same instinct. Don't bury the head. Keep it. Here's what really gets historians. This wasn't a strange one-off habit that early humans grew out of. On the island of Cyprus, archaeologists found skulls deliberately weighed down with stones, placed carefully over the face of the buried dead. A different method, same idea. Keep control of the head, keep a relationship with it. And incredibly, this instinct didn't even stay in the ancient world. In parts of Papua New Guinea, some communities were still practicing forms of ancestor skull keeping into the last couple of centuries, decorating skulls of respected relatives and keeping them in the home as protectors of the family. Different continents, thousands of years apart, nobody copying anybody, which usually means one thing in anthropology: it wasn't a coincidence. It was something built into how humans grieve. Your first instinct is probably, that's insane. That's a horror movie. But archaeologists think it wasn't about fear at all. It was the opposite. It was about not letting go. Losing someone 9,000 years ago didn't come with a funeral service and a headstone in a quiet field. There was no moving on. There was just the hole where that person used to be. So some communities didn't let the hole stay empty. They rebuilt the face, kept it in the house, sometimes for a few years. Sometimes, archaeologists believe, for generations. Passed down like an heirloom that happened to have a skull inside it. The leading theory is this was an early form of ancestor worship. Keeping the skull meant keeping the person's presence in the household. Maybe for protection, maybe to ask them for guidance, maybe just so the family didn't feel so alone. And here's the part that actually blows historians' minds. Some researchers think this is the earliest known example of portrait making in human history. Not paintings of a person, paintings of that specific person. Someone looked at a skull, remembered a face, and tried to rebuild it. Cheekbones, eye shape, expression, from memory. That's not superstition. That's grief, turned into sculpture. In some homes, it wasn't just one skull. It was several, grouped together, almost like a family gallery. Which means this wasn't a one-time ritual. It was an ongoing relationship with the dead. Your ancestors weren't gone. They were furniture. They were family. They were still, in some sense, home. Here's the thing though, we never actually stopped doing this. We just changed the material. A photo of a grandparent on the wall, an urn on a mantle, a gravestone we visit and talk to like they can still hear us. We still keep our dead close. We just stopped keeping their actual faces. So the next time you see an old photo on someone's wall and think that's kind of touching, just remember, 9,000 years ago, someone thought the exact same thing. They just used plaster instead of a picture frame. If this creeped you out in a good way, hit subscribe because we dig up a story like this every single week. And drop a comment. Would you have kept the skull on your shelf? Or are you team bury it and never